I turned 25 in a month. I'm going to give you 5 lessons at 25 that you can't skip if you want to save yourself. And number 5 is crazy. You can't afford to waste a day. You can't really afford to waste an hour. Stillness is a construct, but what you perceive to be non movement is actually movement in the other direction. Everything that is shaped into reality and how we experience it was just shaped by somebody that was honestly a kid not that long back. I think being type A and type B in sprints works really well, and cumulatively over a certain period of time, you then build that muscle that can make you a more happy, successful person. In 25 years, I've fucked up, I've made mistakes, I have thoughts and regrets, and a lot of emotions about turning 25. And so I'm going to give you my 5 learnings at 25. Learning one is that time goes by way faster than you think. I was 18 graduating high school yesterday. It feels like 2016 was 5 months ago. It's 2026 now. It goes by so fast. You blink and it's gone. And that means that you can't afford to waste a year. And a year is constituted of a month and a week and a day. And so you can't afford to waste a week, a month, a day. And if you can't afford to waste a day, you can't really afford to waste an hour, waste an evening. Because it goes by so fast. And the only way to compress or rather expand the going away of time is to make every hour count. So the mindset has to be an hour wasted means everything is wasted, which is kind of ridiculous because I've wasted a lot of hours today. Learning two is that friendship is really important. I remember seeing this quote from someone, and it said that when I see a middle aged man and I see a man that doesn't have too many old friends, I'm very suspicious. And I fully agree with it. I think if you're 25 and you wake up and you don't have a reasonably well cultivated circle of friends you can rely on, it is an L. Not having a reasonably well cultivated group of human beings you love, you can count on, you can rely on by age 25 does mean you're doing something wrong, because the younger you are, the more opportunities life presents you to have and make friends. When you're in school, in college, when you're surrounded by people full of energy around you, and if you can't leverage off of those situations to make friends as quickly as you can, you suffer later on. My second thought with regard to friendship is that it's not enough to have a good circle of friends. Meaningful friendship as a component of your life requires constant active expansion. You need to constantly be meeting new people, doing new things, nurturing your soul by bumping into people you haven't met before, because you lose some friends. Some people get busy, some people move on, some people you fight with, some people move away. And so you need to constantly, if so much of life is experienced through friendship, you need to constantly be pushing and expanding the ambit and circle of friendship by making more friends. Lesson three for me is that there are no real adults. When you're a kid, or at least when I was a kid, there was this constant thought and this constant feeling that the world will have real adults. When I was in grade 6, I remember I would look at 12th graders and be like, oh my god, these people are, like real cool, functioning people. When I hit 12th grade, I looked at people in university and I was like, oh my god, that's when you fully actualize and become one with yourself, and you become this really cool, unique, adult individual. That's not true. The world is just run by children in big aged bodies. And there's this quote from a guy in the Obama administration who was part of the war room-ish situation when the Bin Laden assassination was happening. And he had this quote, and I'm going to read it out. And I think it's fascinating. The quote goes like this. He says, you go into these meetings thinking that there must be some room somewhere with the real experts, the adults making the decisions. And then you look around and realize that this is the room where the adults. And I think that's a metaphor for all of life. Everything that is shaped into reality and how we experience it was just shaped by somebody that was honestly a kid not that long back. And that's crazy. There are no real adults. Everyone's just a grown-up child. Lesson four is that you have to fluctuate between being type A and type B. Let me define type A and type B. Type B is when you're super organized, super locked in, conscientious, disciplined, structured. And type B is spontaneous, extroverted, wacky, more risk taking. I think you need both in you to be a happy, successful person. But I do think to build either muscle, you need to operate in extremes. You can't become better at being more disciplined and structured and conscientious if you're trying to be balanced. You can't also go from being somebody who's stiff and locked up by being super conservative about your approach about being type B. To build either muscle, you need to operate in extremes. So at certain moments, you need to be fully locked in, and at certain moments, you need to fully push yourself to be more wild, more wacky, more extroverted, more spontaneous. The muscle for either comes from doing a lot at each time, and that almost in most life scenarios ends up excluding the other. And so I think being type A and type B in sprints works really well. And cumulatively over a certain period of time, you then build that muscle that can make you a more happy, successful person. Lesson five is maybe obvious and maybe a bit philosophical, a bit nihilistic. It's that you're going to leave something for something. Every action, every decision is a trade-off. The only thing that matters is being aware of the trade-off that you're making. And the real insight there is that not changing something is also an active decision you make on a daily basis. It's an active trade-off you make on a daily basis. At any point, there is movement in a direction, good or bad, towards something or away from something. Stillness is a construct, but what you perceive to be non-movement is actually movement in the other direction. And that is lesson 5 at 25. If you thought that video was interesting and if you enjoy watching me play with a very random green ball that I got for free, please like, comment below, and hit the subscribe button. And I will see you again very soon.